Okay, one thing that seems to occur over and over. What will a Trump presidency look like? Nobody seems to know, which just proves the point that nobody listened to his speeches or categorised him based on what he said in his speeches. Now, I must admit, I haven't looked at tons of his speeches, quite a number I didn't hear. Let's face it, a lot of them they wouldn't even bother putting over here, well, on TV over here. And what they do, they just get bizarre little sound bites and then take them out of context. And that's about it. Anything that had any real evidence is either edited to be out of context or just not shown at all. But I can tell you, based on what I have seen, what a Trump presidency would look like. First of all, I don't know how many times I keep hearing he's going to start wars. Holy smoke. Good old Obama had tenfold the drone strikes that Bush did. Work that out for a Democrat. Having said that, Trump is a non-interventionalist, which is basically what America was after World War One. There was a war that had nothing to do with them. They threw a whole heap of people into it and a whole stack of money. And at the end of it, everybody thought, now, what was it all for? What were all those American lives and money for? And, you know, they become non-interventionalists. The main catch cry was no foreign entanglements. And that's what he is. He's a non-interventionalist. There's another phrase for it too, where you sort of, what is it, yeah. I think they sometimes use the same phrase with North Korea, where you sort of isolationist, where you would rather do stuff for yourself on your terms, your way, without everybody else needing to sell it to you or having anything really to do with it. It's really where you just keep your nose out of everybody else's shit and you don't want everybody else's nose in your shit. That's an isolationist. Now, part and parcel of all that is tariffs, and expect a lot of tariffs on foreign stuff, particularly from Mexico and China. Now, not unexpectedly, this may cause temporary shortages. Some things may be a bit of a squeeze. This is probably only going to last about 6 months at the most. The fact is that a major corporation can entirely move a factory in 6 weeks. I'm not joking, from having it running to the day they say, okay, that's it, we stop production, to the day it starts production in the other country is 6 weeks. And this is having to move things by ship. So that's what's likely to be some of the major things. He also seems, in his victory speech, to like the idea of building a lot of infrastructure. So don't be surprised if there's a lot of infrastructure that gets built, which is one way that you can compare him to Hitler, because that's something that Hitler done before getting involved in war. I don't expect Trump really to start a lot of wars, regardless of how his ego is. And I do expect a lot of people's money to be cut off, foreign aid, in other words, and just money for a lot of government projects and things that, munition spending, and like he gave the example of $1 million to build a soccer field in Guantanamo Bay, and he said, why don't they just get some, ground, level the ground out, and give them a soccer ball, let them go for it, And this is the thing. A lot of things that there's a lot of money spent on now will no longer be spent on because he will scrutinise a lot of costs. And so, yeah, there'll be a lot of infrastructure that he'll probably get into building. Not so much necessarily, I'd be surprised if he's going to build a ton of new stuff. Let's face it, the average age, now this is the median average age of bridges in America, is 50 years old. It was 45 years old in 2008, I remember that, so over 50 years old. And there's quite a chance that a lot of those will get rebuilt in the process. Expect a lot of foreign aid to be cut off, as I said before. Expect foreign imported products to be cut down on quite a bit, particularly those out of Mexico and China. Expect a hell of a lot of factories to be started in the United States, and expect to be working 80-hour weeks. Simple as that. I will mention one thing. Do be careful if they go and start another bloody housing boom off the back of all this enthusiasm. Now, at the moment, it's all fear. Trust me, at some point it'll hit enthusiasm. Several other things I will predict to happen. First of all will be that James Comey will resign and somebody else will take his place, and that will ultimately be the person who deals with Hillary and any charges related to her there. Secondarily, by March sometime, Donald would have met with Putin, and they will be working out some deal on sorting out Syria. They're probably likely to tell the European Union just to bypass the European Union altogether and work it out between themselves. Do expect some sort of a Kurdistan and a North Syria and a South Syria. It's quite possibly the way it's going to go. And don't be terribly surprised if a lot of military bases close and a lot of shit gets... a lot of military comes back home, basically. And there may suddenly be more use of the military, not as an actual military force. This is what happens in Pakistan. When there's no war to fight, they're busy doing other things. That may happen. Don't be terribly surprised if masses of people are called back from these overseas bases to basically be involved in building the wall. Pretty much. Don't be surprised. It's likely to be one of these times where there's a great shake-up of those who were rich off the status quo become poor. Those who are poor start small factories, and people changing jobs, quite different from their original jobs, but then still going ahead to work an 80-hour week. It's going to be a bit of a change. There's a chance that things may turn to shit in the North Korea-South Korea situation, and we'll see what comes from there. China will be throwing tantrums on a regular basis, but there won't be much they can really do about it. And same goes for Mexico. It'll be interesting. I bet you the establishment media will just keep being a bunch of biased arseholes. But that's basically what I believe a Trump presidency would look like.